most unexpected threat to your family. I found a tampon wedged between the cushions of my daughter's car seat when I was buckling her in for daycare, and my stomach dropped because I hadn't had a period in over a year thanks to my IUD. The purple wrapper wasn't even a brand I recognized, and holding it felt like holding another woman's lipstick or underwear. Just wrong. So that evening, I waited until the girls were watching Bluey before cornering James in the kitchen, holding the tampon between us like a grenade with a pin pulled. He actually laughed and said, "Why are you holding a tampon?" And when I told him where I'd found it, he just shrugged and said it probably fell out of Fiona's purse during one of their office lunch runs. But something about the casual way he dismissed it made my skin crawl. Fiona and her husband Rick had been close friends with us for 3 years, and our daughters played princess together while we drank wine on the patio. So maybe James was right, but something kept nagging at me. For 2 weeks, that purple wrapper haunted me while I smiled through bedtime stories and pretended everything was normal, until we finally had dinner with Fiona and Rick at that Italian place downtown where they put too much garlic in everything. During appetizers, I excused myself and followed Fiona to the bathroom. "Hey, this is embarrassing, but do you have a tampon?" I asked, trying to sound desperate rather than like I was conducting an investigation on my husband's possible affair. She rummaged through her purse and handed me one with a sympathetic smile. And when I saw that identical purple wrapper, relief flooded through me so hard I actually had to sit down in the bathroom stall. I walked back to our table feeling like an idiot for almost destroying my marriage over nothing. Until 3 weeks later, while putting away James's dress socks on a Thursday afternoon when both girls were napping, my fingers found something that shouldn't have been in my drawer. And when I pulled out another purple-wrapped tampon from beneath my winter socks, I felt like I was going to throw up all over again. This wasn't accidental because nobody went in our bedroom except us, and the girls were too young to even know what these were, let alone hide them in my drawer. I called my sister before I could talk myself out of it, and she drove over so fast she still had her hospital scrubs on from her nursing shift. "He's gaslighting you," she said, sitting on my bed and examining the tampons like evidence while I paced the room. "You need cameras yesterday. What if they show something I can't unsee?" I whispered, and she grabbed my hands and said, "Then you'll know the truth instead of slowly going crazy." The universe didn't wait for cameras because our youngest got that stomach bug that had been destroying her daycare, projectile vomiting at 3 in the morning like something out of The Exorcist. James insisted on staying home with her while I went to work, playing the devoted father so perfectly that I almost forgot about the tampons for a few days. But on day 4, I came home early with ginger ale and crackers to find my baby wearing a onesie I'd never bought, one of those awful full-snap nightmares I'd sworn off after our first daughter, with a tiny pink bow clipped in her wispy blonde hair. "Did someone come over today?" I asked James, keeping my voice steady while our 4-year-old watched from the doorway. "What? No, of course not. Why would you think that?" He didn't even look up from his phone, but his thumb stopped scrolling. "The outfit, the bow. I didn't buy these things. You probably forgot. You've been stressed lately. Maybe you should talk to someone about postpartum depression." 2 years after giving birth, and he was suggesting postpartum depression like I was the crazy one, like I was imagining tampons and baby clothes appearing in our house, using the exact fear I'd shared with him about my mother's struggles to gaslight me into silence. I ordered cameras that night and had them shipped to my sister's house. But before her husband could install them, my phone buzzed with a ring notification while I sat at my desk eating a sad desk salad on Wednesday afternoon. The video showed a young woman with dark hair leading my daughter by the hand through our front door, my husband and older daughter trailing behind when everyone was supposed to be at work or daycare. I recognized her immediately even though I hadn't seen her in 5 years, and my hands shook as I called James 6 times before he answered with a quiet, "Hey, why is Kelly in our house with our children?" The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then he said, "She's family, and she deserves forgiveness." Kelly, his sister, the registered offender who'd molested their teenage cousin and was supposed to be living 2 states away, had been secretly visiting for months while she was supposedly making amends in rehab, sleeping in our bed when I traveled, babysitting our daughters when he claimed they were at his parents' house, entering through the garage to avoid the camera, and leaving her tampons like breadcrumbs in a twisted fairy tale. The marriage ended in that moment, and James was arrested 2 days later on child endangerment charges for knowingly exposing our daughters to a registered offender, with the prosecutor adding contributing to the delinquency of a minor charges when they found out how many times he'd left them alone with her. Kelly was arrested the same day for violating the terms of her offender registration by being around children, and she's facing 5 years. James took a plea deal for 18 months, and now I'm left trying to explain to 2 little girls why daddy isn't coming home.